Alright, this is a USO Xbox 360 maintenance and repair training video number 11. I'm skipping ahead to number 11 because it's the last one that I have to do that talks about actually messing with the hardware, and it's the last one that I have to do where I actually have to really show you anything that's kind of technical. The rest of it's pretty simple. Okay, so we're going to start off with the Xbox 360 Type S. This is the second time that I'm having to film this video because last time I filmed it was 2 in the morning and I apparently got everything completely wrong. So, starting off, Xbox 360 Type S, very simple. I'm going to start with the hard drive tray. Tray goes right here in the back. Seat it down carefully, make sure that none of the cables end up underneath it, and it'll just sit in place like so. Now to get the hard drive connector back on, you've got 2 posts here and then you've got 2 posts here, and you just set it right down on top. The top is actually labeled top. I have a word there, it says top. Set it down like so. Take the bolt that you removed earlier, set it in, and just screw it in. Next you have to anchor it to the bottom of the case and also to the back of the case. On the bottom of the case, it is this empty post hole right here, or sorry, this empty screw hole right here. Go ahead and take that. Stick it right in there like so. And let's see if I can get this right. Just go ahead and tighten it in. Don't start twitching it down really hard because all you're going into is plastic and you don't want to strip it out. Next one to anchor it down is kind of confusing to find. It's this tiny little hole right here. So what you do is you take the screw and you get it into its hole like so, and then you just go ahead and screw that in. Just get it finger tight. Doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, next is the DVD drive. Come around here to the back and you've got power and data, and then here in the case you've got power and you've got data. Okay? So you plug in power, like so. You might have to go ahead and have it down further into the case to actually get it, because the wires are so short. Power and data plugged in, and then it'll just sit in place. There's no grounding tape this time. It's just make sure that you line up the 2 post feet with the 2 post feet holes. That's all you got to do there. Next, airflow cowling. Airflow cowling goes around the fan, the cooling fan. This directs the airflow from the top of the case down and up. Yeah. Next, top lid. Make sure you line up the grate, the fan, and set it down on top carefully. Make sure that you line up the ridges of the heat shielding. On the other side, make sure it's on the outside and doesn't get to the inside. Lastly, go ahead and put in your screws. If you remember, it was all the black bolts that you took out, and it's 1, 2, 3, 'It's arguing with me. I love that. Can't get anything perfect, can I? Alright, so occasionally you run into some issues. That's okay, nobody's immune, especially when they have a video that they're shooting and it needs to go just right. Alright, put in your airflow cowling. There's one little tiny post right here, right there, that needs to make sure that you make it through the metal. Because if it doesn't go through the metal, then it's going to give you royal pain in the neck when you actually try and get things put back together properly. Also, with the DVD drive, with the hard drive chassis, that could give you some issues. Also, you want to make sure that because one of the post holes goes through there, you want to make sure, and it's this one right here, you want to make sure that that's actually absolutely clear. So I'm going to go ahead and do that one first, because there we go. That one's going to be a royal pain in the neck. Let's go ahead and tighten it down. And make sure that you're only getting these finger tight instead of, trying to kill the plastic. Because again, if you kill the plastic, then you're going to strip the plastic, and you'll never be able to get the case apart again with any kind of ease, or get it back together again with any kind of ease. So, get it finger tight only. And not grizzly bear finger tight, but, generally finger tight. Now then, next is the bottom portion of the plastic cowling. Make sure that you get it just right, and it'll just snap in place. And then the last portion of the front piece, the last portion of plastic for the major infrastructure of the case is the front portion. And for that, I actually need to have it, there we go, like so. You're just going to raise up this little brown thing here, slide this in, and it should fit, just so. Sometimes it wants to fight you though, because fucking Microsoft. Alright, there we go. And then that just loops around back there like so to hold it in place. Alright. And then you just massage the rest of it into place and it'll snap right on. Nice and pretty. Next portion is actually the underside where the wireless connector goes, or where the wireless hardware goes. And it goes into this little slot right here. So it's got kind of a modified USB looking thing. It just plugs in just like so. There it is. And then you go ahead and use the little screw to put that into place. Screw that in. There it is. After that, take the top portion of plastic, and you'll know how to line it up because you've got two teeth right here and back, like so. To match up those two teeth with, you've got two teeth right here and back, just behind the card. So what you do is you line them up, teeth to teeth, and you just massage it on down, snap it into place, and there it is. After that, put the top cowling on, with the fins, make sure that the spacing of the fins is more dense towards the back, which is this right here. and you press it down front first. There it is. Nice and pretty. After that, we flip it over to the back. And what we do is just go ahead and take these two pieces. We can put them in simultaneously. All you got to do is line up the teeth on the top with the teeth on the bottom, or sorry, with the teeth holes on the bottom. I'm wearing a dark shirt, so it doesn't really match up very well. You just line them up, and the one will sit down into the other, and then you take this little portion here and snap that in place like so. So this little tooth here snaps down. And then once you've got that hole in complete, you'll see a large hole here, hard drive bay there, line them up, and massage it into place. There it is. Next, you'll take the front portion of the finned cowling, massage that into place, take the hard drive, and it can only go in one way because it's got this lovely little stopper here, which is how it stays into the system and doesn't fall out, and it's actually pulled and released by the ribbon. Slide that in, so you hear it click, like so. You take the last portion, cover of the hard drive bay, and it will click into place. There we go. And there it is. Xbox 360 Type S now complete. Next, we're going to do the Generation 1 360 right here. First things first, take our modified cooling fan. First thing we do is we go ahead and snap that into place. Make sure that you've got your two teeth facing forward. You'll know it's forward because you'll have these two little tapered sort of cut edges here. They're going to fit nicely underneath this piece of metal here, which is the bracket that holds it in place, like so. Next, I'm going to go ahead and line up your power connector to its power connector. It'll have a clip. It'll have a little three-thinged thing with a couple of teeth on it, and we'll just snap down into place. And your power connector, line up the two top teeth with the top teeth on there, and it will simply press into place. And there that is. Next, your SATA connector. Yellow dot goes on the on the motherboard. Slip that underneath the power connector for the DVD drive. Press it down. Next, cowling for the cooling fan that directs the airflow. It just snaps down into place nice and easy. No muss, no fuss. After that, DVD drive. Now as you're plugging in the DVD drive, make sure that you get the SATA plug plugged in, which is the data, and then the power plug plugged in, which is, the power. Make sure that you get them seated properly and completely, otherwise something might spark, your DVD drive might not read, there's a whole lovely slew of other issues. And then we go ahead and reseat that grounding tape, like so. And that's the major guts of it put back together. Next, top of the Xbox goes straight down onto it. Again, make sure that you've got the fins of the outer portion of the heat cowling on the outside. Afterwards, put your bolts in, and the portions where we marked as the bolt holes. And it's just 6 little screws. Go into place, and you tighten them down. There's no real pattern to doing this. It's just, get it done, really. easier. And as with the 360 Type S, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that you get these finger tight and not grizzly bear tight, because, you know, you can end up stripping out the plastic otherwise, and then it won't work anymore. Well, the 360 will work, but the screws won't. Okay, next you have to reseat your eject button. That's pretty easy because you've got this large square portion here, and you've got this large square thing here, and you've got two holes here with a clippy thing, and then you've got two posts here with a hole here that takes a clippy thing, and it just sits right on it like so. Make sure that you get the clippy thing in place, and then press that down real good, and there it is. Even though the actual button for the DVD drive eject is right down here, they have this long arm going up here to do it. I don't know why Microsoft did that. It doesn't make any engineering sense to me. Whatever, man. Microsoft. Who knew? Next, if you hopefully put this little foot somewhere where you could keep it safe, go ahead and put it back in place. Come here to the front. Clip that back into place so it sits nice and pretty. Come back here to the back. Make sure that these are lined up. And then just gently sort of massage them back into place, and it will snap shut and be sealed. Afterwards, on the bottom, take your bottom plastic portion, find this notch, the notch goes forward, and it snaps right into place. No muss, no fuss. Next, top portion, hard drive. Big hard hole for the hard drive connector, large hole for the hard drive connector. Line it up. Line it up, and no matter how well you line it up, it'll still argue with you. Okay, there we go. Now it's in. It should snap in easily. Sometimes it'll give you a problem. Not too much of one, though. Last but not least, faceplate. It just snaps right in place from the top to bottom. It is nice and secure. And there it is. Last but not least, after that, the hard drive. Slide it into this back notch here, because you've got that notch there. And then press down onto the top. And there it is. And that, my viewers, is how you put together the Xbox 360 Type S and Generation 1. I will not be doing a Generation 3 or Xbox 360 Type E, which are one and the same, because I do not have one available to me other than the ones over at the USO, and I do not want to void the warranty on those. So, hope you found this informative, hope you found it slightly fun, hope you use it as a reference guide in the future. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the section below. Have a good night.